Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 56 based on novel. So let's start. At this time, Mo Zhai was obviously ready. He looked at Hu Laoge with a light smile. The latter also smiled immediately, looked at Jiu Li with a strange smile, and said with a smile, "Yes, President Jiu Li, since Master Mo Zhai can't do it, it's up to us old friends to identify it. I believe that I can recognize an imperial product Quan Dan." "Ha. You." As soon as Hu Lao's strange words were uttered, Jiu Li also changed his face again and wanted to say something, but the audience also echoed them. According to common sense, Mo Zhai's requirement is indeed reasonable and not excessive. Hearing the whispers from around, Jiu Li also immediately frowned, and a touch of forest cold color appeared on the old face. This Mo Zhai was really stubborn. At this time, he was still thinking about how to talk and flirt and want to win the championship. This guy is really hateful. However, just when Jiu Li felt difficult for it, Xiao Yang's light joke voice came from afar again. "Ha, President Jiu Li, since Master Mo Zhai has said so, and the requirements are not excessive, in my opinion, I can rest assured to give the pill to him for identification. Since he has said that in front of the public, he is also a person who abides by his promise compared with Master Mo Zhai." When Mo Zhai heard the speech, a smile burst out on his face, waved his big sleeve, stretched out his palm straight towards Jiu Li, and laughed. "Ha, President Jiu Li, it seems that the chief herbalist of your medicine refining association knows better. Since others have said, should you consider giving me the pill?" Jiu Li was stunned when he heard Xiao Yang's words, and then looked at Xiao Yang in surprise. He didn't expect that Xiao Yang would help Mo Zhai speak. When Jiu Li saw Xiao Yang's indifferent smile, his heart was like taking reassurance. Although he still didn't understand, he nodded gently without asking more questions. Then he looked at Mo Zhai again, snorted coldly, and said, "Even if you want it, it's not for you. Get up." Jiu Li's big sleeve suddenly waved, but he didn't bother to say more with Mo Zhai. Senhan stared at old Hu, and Mo Zhai sneered. His eyes narrowed and stared at Jiu Li, and then turned to old Hu again. The latter felt the eyes from Mo Zhai, and the corners of his mouth also aroused a sneer. He nodded, looked at Jiu Li and said with a smile, "Ha, in that case, President Jiu Li, it's time to give me this pill. If I can ensure that it is the Emperor's product after my appraisal, Master Mo Zhai can only be convinced, ha." When the voice fell, old monster who also stretched out his dry palm, dark skin and slightly sharp nails to Guli. In addition, the wrinkles full of years and wrinkles, the palm in front of Guli looked like a devil's claw. After taking a deep breath, Jiu Li looked at Xiao Yang again and hoped that he could take back what he had just said. After all, no matter what Xiao Yang could do, once the Emperor robbery pill fell into the hands of old Hu, he would inevitably make something strange. But what Jiu Li didn't expect was that Xiao Yang nodded with a plain smile to reassure him. Then Xiao Yang turned his eyes again, looked at Mo Zhai, and said with a loud smile, "He, since Master Mo Zhai invited foreign aid to identify this pill, I also want to ask someone to do another identification for me for the sake of fairness." As soon as Xiao Yang said this, Mo Zhai's eyes coagulated slightly. Hu Laoge also frowned. After looking at Yang Bing, he immediately looked at a place above the stand, where Shen Lao and Luo Jin were. Jiu Li suddenly showed an unexpected smile when Xiao Yang said this. At the moment when the words fell, Xiao Yang suddenly turned around, hugged his hands and arched his hands in the direction of Shen Lao. At the same time, he suddenly laughed. "I'm the chief herbalist of the Herbalist Guild, Yang Xiao. I'd like to invite Mr. Shen of Union Pavilion to learn from the Emperor's pill next." As soon as Xiao Yang's voice fell, the whole audience immediately looked at the past with Xiao Yang's line of sight. Many people in the field also recognized Shen Lao on the stand at this moment. Although Shen Lao had shot for Xiao Yang before, these audiences all thought that he shot because of Qin Zhong's loyalty, but judging from Xiao Yang's attitude at the moment, I'm afraid there is something fishy in it. Opposite Xiao Yang, Mo Zhai's color suddenly changed under Xiao Yang's words. Xiao Yang's words just now were not just inviting Shen Lao. He just said everything about Union Pavilion. He was not inviting Shen Lao, but inviting Union Pavilion to come forward. At this moment, Mo Zhai finally remembered something. When he first came to the wild ancient city, he saw Shen Lao accompany Xiao Yang into the cloud-hidden pavilion with his own eyes. At that time, the cloud-hidden pavilion had announced its temporary closure. Looking back, I'm afraid it was all because of the rock owl. At this moment, even the face of Old Who can't help but change a deep and dignified color. The deterrent power of Union Pavilion, even the strong at his level, is still not enough to see in front of him. If Mr. Xian really came out on behalf of Yuninga, I'm afraid he won't have a chance to do it again, and Xiao Yang is bound to become the champion of this medicine refining Masters Congress. Hehe, since the little friends of Rock Owl said so, I'd better obey my orders. In fact, I'm also trying to see how the imperial product Quan Dan refined by my little friend is. On the stand, Shenlaro heard Xiao Yang's words, and his face also showed a warm smile. With a slight smile, he moved and flew down the stage and fell to Xiao Yang's side. Hehe, I didn't expect that Yang Xiaoyu could refine the imperial product Quan Dan when he was young. He was really amazing. I also had a chance to feast my eyes today. Ha ha. As soon as he came down, Shenlao arched his hand to Xiao Yang, and at the same time, he burst into a burst of laughter. Xiao Yang saw that he arched his hand again, and then the two looked at Jiyu Li at the same time. Jiyu Li was delighted to see them like this. He knew that Old Who monster must be afraid of the power of Cloud Hidden Pavilion. As long as Shenlaro came forward to identify, Old Who monster would not dare to do anything more. The three people looked at each other and smiled. Jiyu Li's figure on the void also fell slowly. The identity represented by Shenlaro at the moment was unusual. Xiao Yang dared to treat him normally, but Jiyu Li didn't have the courage. The power of Yunyin Pavilion, even his herbalist guild, was unmatched in the mainland border. When Jiyu Li fell down, Shenlaro Dang even looked at Hu Laoge and smiled. Hehe, Old Hu, why don't you come first? Facing Xuanlao's words, Hu Laoge shook his head for a moment, took a half step back, and said with an embarrassed smile. That. The principle of proximity. Anyway, if you're close, please come first. When Shenlaro heard the speech, his eyes contacted Xiao Yang on one side for a moment, and he couldn't help laughing. In ordinary days, the Old Who monster can be regarded as quite courageous, but today, in front of the Cloud-Hidden Pavilion, he didn't expect to be so timid. He is really a master who eats soft and fears hard. Oh, well, I'll see it first. As soon as Shenlaro lifted his palm, he wanted to pick up the Emperor Robbery pill in Guli's hand. Slow down, Old Shen, since he doesn't dare to blame Old Who, I'll take a look on behalf of Haiyun Palace. A light well, Old Shen frowned and looked up, but Yang Bing had stood in front of him, with an indifferent look on his face, as if he didn't care about the Old Shen in front of him. Seeing that Yang Bing had moved out the Haiyun Palace, Shenlaro couldn't help but pick his eyebrows and wanted to say something, but at this time, there was a more overbearing voice, but it fell from the sky like thunder, which shocked everyone present. Haiyun Palace, if those old friends come, it's okay, but it's up to you to replace Haiyun Palace. A voice of overbearing words fell, and then there was another burst sound, like a meteor falling explosion. In the center of the void square, a storm full of domineering spirit and dust swept away. When the dust dispersed, people looked up in public. As far as they could see, the vast void square had instantly become fragmented, and terrible cracks spread to the whole square like spider webs. At the moment, in the middle of the square, a tall bald old man dressed in a medicine refiner's robe is standing impressively. Around his body, a terrible domineering aura also spreads. Everyone who touches his face changes suddenly. The domineering pressure in the aura is no less than that of Yang Bing and other 8.5 powerful emperors, even more so, in some ways. At the same time, Mo Zhai, Yang Bing and others on the spot looked at the bald old man. At a glance, the three people suddenly aroused waves in their hearts. They could not imagine that this guy returned to the wild ancient city again. After a good film, the three people shouted with one voice. Ju Tai. Compared with the shock of these three people, Xiao Yang and Jiyu Li were much more calm. When Shenlaro saw the visitor, he immediately raised his eyebrows. His heart was quite surprised. Ju Tai, who had been away for many years, would come back at this time. His eyes looked at Xiao Yang without trace. Old Shen saw the Emperor Robbery pill again. He couldn't help sneering in his heart. Mo Zhai, now admit defeat and I'll let you go out of the wild ancient city. Otherwise, if you wait for me, you won't go back. Without too many opening remarks, Ju Tai's eyes turned and instantly stared at Mo Zhai. The overbearing words also made the whole square tremble. At the same time, a terrible overbearing pressure also instantly pressed on Mo Zhai. When the pressure came, Mo Zhai's face changed suddenly. His legs softened and he knelt down directly. The stone slab under his body burst instantly. His legs were firmly embedded in it. His whole body was crushed to the ground and could not move at all. But behind Mo Zhai, Yang Bing saw that Ju Tai did it directly, and his face didn't change. When he moved his body, he wanted to rush towards Ju Tai, but Ju Tai snorted coldly, waved his big sleeve, and a light immediately shot at Yang Bing. Seeing this, the latter also looked motionless and did not avoid. He stretched out his hand and grasped one of them in the palm of his hand. When Yang Bing fixed his eyes, the next moment, his face immediately turned into a solemn color. In Yang Bing's palm is a medicine refiner badge made of special metal materials. The badge looks like a reduced shield, on which is engraved the unique logo of the Third Order Medicine Refiner. In the center of the badge is engraved with the word BA, which is also the symbol of Ju Tai. Seeing words is like seeing people, and you can know from this badge that Ju Tai's identity must belong to the Southern Region Herbalist Alliance in his mouth, not a herbalist branch. Yang Bing, this is the badge issued by the Southern Region Herbalist Alliance. I think you should recognize it. Ju Tai uttered a word. All the people in the field, except Xiao Yang, suddenly turned pale. Even Shenlaro and Luo Jin, who was on the stand, also changed their faces slightly. Obviously, Ju Tai's words surprised even them, let alone Yang Bing, who was holding the pharmacist's badge in the presence at this moment. Looking at the herbalist badge in his hand, Yang Bing's indifferent heart finally surged up. The Herbalist Alliance is the real headquarters of Dantar in various states. Unexpectedly, Ju Tai has come to this point, and they are still delusional about competing for the medicine refining guild in this wild ancient city. At this moment, Hu Leoge is completely soft. Now Ju Tai returns strongly, and the outcome has been completely set. They can't control the current situation. Not to mention that Xiao Yanjin refined the imperial product Quandan, by virtue of the fact that Shenlaro represented Union Pavilion, Mo Zhai and others have put all their forces together. At the moment, Ju Tai is domineering and frightens the whole situation with one person. Today, don't say that Yang Bing is just a deacon of Haiyun Palace, even if other more powerful elders of Haiyun Palace come, it's the same. I can't help Ju Tai. With the support of the Alliance of Herbalists, it is impossible for Haiyun Palace to move Ju Tai. Give it back to you. With a cold hum, Yang Bing is not a timid person. Compared with the guy who has no power support behind Hu Leoge, he has more confidence in his heart. With a wave of his big sleeve, Yang Bing threw back his badge to Ju Tai. At the same time, the horror of the peak in the later period of the 8-star-and-a-half Emperor burst out in an instant, helping Mo Zhai offset his terrible hegemony and control Mo Zhai. Yang Bing was too lazy to pay attention to Hu Leoge, so he looked gloomy and flew away from the field. Elder Yang Bing. Naturally, Mo Zhai was reluctant to be the champion, but Yang Bing's heart was also angry at the moment. There was just an action on his mouth, and then he was blocked back by Yang Bing's extremely cold eyes. Compared with Ju Tai, Yang Bing in front of him makes Mo Zhai feel more frightened. If he really annoys him, Yang Bing will never deliberately punish him like Ju Tai. With Yang Bing's heart, he will freeze him instantly without hesitation. When Yang Bing turned and left, his extremely cold eyes also swept Xiao Yang. The killing intention in his eyes was like a strong wind at the moment, which made Xiao Yang feel a bad premonition. Noticing Yang Bing's cold eyes, Jiyu Li and Shenlaro beside Xiao Yang also changed their complexion slightly, and then she looked at Xiao Yang. Seeing this, Xiao Yang also turned his mouth, reluctantly spread his hands and said, I don't know. It's the first time I've seen him. Who knows where he's so hostile? Seeing Xiao Yang's helplessness, the two men shook their heads helplessly and had to focus on Mo Zhai. Now, in this wild ancient city, no one dares to oppose Xiao Yang like this except Mo Zhai. Yang Bing left with Mo Zhai. Hu Leoge was also very happy in his heart, but he saw a tiger in front and a wolf in the back. He was also extremely helpless. He didn't expect that the competition with absolute certainty would finally get such a field. At this point, Hu Leoge also saw the power behind Xiao Yang. Now Xiao Yang is not alone. With Jiyu Li and other 8-star-and-half Emperor level guys, plus the cloud-hidden pavilion that has not yet appeared, there is another Ju Tai of the Herbalist Alliance. The drama of the wild ancient city is getting bigger and bigger. Turning around, Hu Leoge looked at Xiao Yang abruptly. His face changed. A very faint light flashed through the pair of dark old eyes. Although Mo Zhai gave him a lot of benefits, which is also the reason why Hu Leoge helped Mo Zhai, he also coveted the whole imperial robbery pill in Xiao Yang's hand. If he could get it, he would not let it go. In the slightly stunned eyes of Xiao Yang, Hu Leoge arched his hand at Xiao Yang. This scene, Yang Bing, who had left, was naturally ashamed to see it, but it also made the audience in the stands feel strange. Xiao Yang also looked at the Emperor Robbery Pill in Jiu Li's hand thoughtfully. He couldn't help laughing in his heart, but he was silent on his face, shrugging his shoulders. He watched the old monster turn and leave. The departure of the three men of Mo Zhai naturally means that the current meeting of medicine refiners has officially come to an end. A farce between the strong has finally come to an end, and people gradually find that the seemingly calm and desolate ancient city has long been dark and turbulent in the dark. Invisibly, the wild ancient city has been divided by the camps of the two major forces. On the one hand, it is the medicine refining guild that belongs to Xiao Yang. Of course, this is just an appearance. The real strength of the medicine refining guild with figures such as Shenlaro and Ju Tai has already surpassed the previous medicine refining guild. In addition, with the almost rebellious terrorist existence of Xiao Yang's medicine refining talent, from now on, it will have the gold-lettered signboard of Xiao Yang's imperial product Quan Dan. I'm afraid there will be an endless stream of scattered herbalists coming to join the Herbalist Guild. At that time, the strength of the Herbalist Guild in the wild ancient city will be more terrible than it is now. When Mo Zhai's three bodies completely disappeared, Ju Tai also took away his representative domineering aura and came to Xiao Yang to talk and laugh with the three. Ju Tai and Shenlaro identified the Emperor Robbery Pill again in front of countless audiences. Of course, as expected, after the joint identification of the two elders, this Imperial Robbery Pill refined by Xiao Yang really belongs to the Imperial product. There's no doubt about it. If Jiu Li said the answer, maybe the audience were really skeptical, but after Ju Tai and Shenlao, two representatives of superforces, they had to believe that the double certification of the alliance of herbalists and Uniange could not be fake in any case. Even Ju Tai and Shenlao could not be fake. After all, they now represent two forces, not themselves. When the answer fell again, it was no surprise that on the square just now silent because of Ju Tai's hegemony, there was an earth-shaking cheering. Compared with Mo Zhai, Xiao Yang's victory was more exciting. Immediately, Ju Tai turned around, waved his big sleeve, and a domineering spirit swept away, which made the whole audience turn pale immediately after they noticed the smell. The square that had just boiled suddenly became quiet again. Ha ha, I won't tell you more nonsense. Now, the old boy Mo Zhai has gone away, and I have personally identified the Emperor Robbery Pill. Then, everyone should have an answer. I now announce that the champion of this medicine refining masters congress is Yang Xiao. This time, as soon as Ju Tai's voice fell, there was a deafening roar of excitement on the huge square. Countless people stood up in their seats flushed with excitement and waved their things. For a time, the whole square fell into a sea of noise and excitement. No wonder these people are so excited. Most of these audiences were born and raised here. Even many people have lived in the wild ancient city for generations. They have deep feelings for everything in the city. In the past, most of the drug refiners' conferences were contesting for the championship among their own drug refiners in the wild ancient city. Therefore, there was not much feeling of common hatred in the hearts of the audience. However, this time, the gambling agreement between the two guilds almost let Jiu Li and others export the guild. In this way, it virtually aroused the deep emotion in the hearts of the people. They would rather let the medicine refiners in their own city fight for blood in the General Assembly than allow other guild members to show off here, because this wild ancient city belongs to them. The Herbalist Guild is growing up step by step. The dignity of the wild ancient city Herbalist Guild will never be trampled on by outsiders. Now, when people want to lose and return, Xiao Yang instantly pulls back the situation as a strong man and overwhelms the situation in the field with an imperial product Quan Dan. At the moment, his identity is the chief herbalist of the Herbalist Guild in the wild ancient city. Xiao Yang at the moment is not only the benefactor of the Herbalist Guild, but also the hero of the wild ancient city. Xiao Yang saved the Herbalist Guild and kept its dignity. At the same time, he also satisfied the feelings of the savage people that they didn't want their own forces to be occupied by other forces outside. Nowadays, Xiao Yang is not only the savior of the medicine refining guild, but also a hero for the whole wild ancient city. After this war, the name of the Rock Owl will completely boil in this wild ancient city. At the same time, Xiao Yang will be respected by countless wild people. In a way, Xiao Yang's reputation is not just on his own. Although Emperor Pin Quan Dan is good, it can only make Xiao Yang win the championship of this conference. At most, it is just to get some reputation that he can refine Emperor Pin Quan Dan. It will also be forgotten by the next Herbalist conference. However, the appearance of Mo Zhai not only represents that Xiao Yang refined the imperial product Quan Dan, but also represents Nanlin Cheng to attend the appointment this time. The ultimate failure of Mo Zhai is to further improve Xiao Yang's reputation. Even if it can't be engraved on everyone's heart, at least if they wait for the Medicine Refining Association in the future, these people will always think of the young man named Yang Xiao who saved the Medicine Refining Association in the wild ancient city. Listening to the roaring cheers from around, Xiao Yang couldn't help but show a relaxed smile on Xiao Yang's slightly pale cheek. Ji Yujing's eyes slowly swept through the audience. Xiao Yang didn't care much about these reputations, but Xiao Yang's heart couldn't help jumping a little at this scene. After all, no one doesn't like being worshipped and respected, and Xiao Yang is no exception. Calm eyes swept slowly. Finally, Xiao Yang's eyes stopped in front of a jade fan on the stand. To be exact, it should be the owner of the fan. Luo Jin. 4 eyes were opposite. They didn't say any polite words. They just smiled knowingly. Xiao Yang turned around again. He knew that Luo Jin didn't want to expose himself to the eyes of thousands of people. Otherwise, with the eyesight of these semi-imperialist strong men on the square, how could he not recognize him? Oh, well, go back and talk. This is not a place to talk. After the conference, these people will leave by themselves. Let's go. When several people talked and laughed, Jiu Li also smiled. He looked at the sky and smiled at Xiao Yang. Several people also nodded when they heard the speech. Ju Tai laughed and walked to the outside of the field first. Behind him, Xiao Yang also followed slowly. With the departure of these people, the pharmaceutical refining teachers' meeting, which has attracted much attention in recent months, finally came to an end at this moment. At this moment, Xiao Yanggili and others are standing in the hall of the Herbalist Guild. As the champion of the Herbalist Guild and the hero of the Herbalist Guild, Xiao Yang was naturally pushed to the first seat by Jiu Li. However, several other people present and some elders of the guild nodded with a smile. It's reasonable for Xiao Yang to sit there as a member of the Medicine Refining Association. Haha, that's right, Rock Owl Boy. The latter also noticed this. His eyes flashed, and he seemed to smile casually behind him, so he threw the badge at Jiu Li. Catching the flying badge with one hand, Jiu Li looked up at Ju Tai with a depressed face, smiled bitterly and said, "Unexpectedly, you have been invited to join the Herbalist Alliance." Ju Tai smiled when he heard the speech. His eyelids nodded slightly. He knew in his heart that joining the Herbalist Alliance was what Jiu Li had been looking forward to for most of his life. It's just a pity that today, his medicine refining skill stops at the second-class herbalist and can't be saved for many years. The minimum standard for joining the Alliance of Herbalists is level 4. If Jiu Li can't reach level 4 in his life, he will never join the Alliance of Herbalists. As for Ju Tai's invitation, it was not Ju Tai's intention to apply to join the Herbalist Alliance, but his talent for refining medicine was too terrible, so he made the Herbalist Alliance take the initiative to throw an olive branch at him. Seeing such a scene in the field, Xiao Yang heard the Herbalist Alliance many times. He was also very curious and frowned slightly. After a little hesitation, Xiao Yang looked at Ju Tai and asked in a curious tone, "Elder Ju, is the Alliance of Herbalists you just mentioned another force composed of herbalists?" As soon as Xiao Yang said this, everyone in the field, including Shen Laro, changed slightly. There was an unspeakable surprise in their looks. Looking at Xiao Yang, they looked like looking at an alien. Jiu Li and Red Phosphorus both had violent convulsions at the corners of their mouths. They once heard Xiao Yang say that he had just left the mountain gate, so he was not familiar with everything in the outside world. What they could not imagine was that he knew nothing about the Alliance of Herbalists, and even went to guess what kind of force it was. Shenlaro frowned at this moment. He didn't expect that Xiao Yang didn't know who the Alliance of Medicine Refiners was. But if so, what's the matter with Xiao Yang's fighting skills in the middle regions? After a general explanation by Ju Tai and others, Xiao Yang finally had a general understanding of the inexplicable Alliance of Herbalists. Xiao Yang thought that the Herbalist Alliance should be established by a force in the southern region, because it is generally called Alliance, which is jointly joined by 2 or more different forces. For example, the Tianfu Alliance in Duki mainland is established by multiple forces. However, under Ju Tai's words, Xiao Yang was surprised at the result, because the Alliance of Herbalists was actually a force under the command of Dantar. Moreover, such an alliance was distributed in major states on the mainland. For example, in the western regions where Xiao Yang was going next, there was also the Alliance of Herbalists. All the drug refiner associations in each state are under the control of the Drug Refiner Alliance, layer by layer. What surprised Xiao Yang even more was that the Alliance of Herbalists was not only set up by Dantar, but also managed by Dantar. At least half of the senior leaders in the alliance came from Dantar headquarters in Central. The fact that a mainland superpower would disperse its own power to such a barren land as the mainland border and establish a new force that doesn't matter in any way is indeed puzzling many people. On the surface, this kind of behavior is indeed that Dantar is expanding its own power and making it stronger. It seems that there is no problem, but just think about it. With Dantar's absolute appeal, if you really want to expand your power, you won't need this kind of behavior. You can call it the name of Dantar and gather the strong from all sides. In this way, within a few days, there will be an endless stream of strong people who want to take the initiative to join Dantar. After all, no one will refuse the invitation of the first force on the mainland. But judging from the alliance of herbalists at the moment, it doesn't seem to be expanding its power. On the contrary, it seems to be guarding. These alliance of alchemists are scattered in every state of the whole continent. Together with the association of alchemists in each city, it is like a huge power network covering the whole Yuanwu continent. Although they also recruit many alchemists, they are always entrenched in one place. Unlike other forces, they are constantly gathering their own strength. It's like a giant diving dragon, and when it comes out of the abyss, it will amaze the world. In addition, the rules of the alliance of herbalists are also extremely strict. Those who can be recruited are either powerful state and regional strongmen or high-level herbalist. Xiao Yan could not help taking a breath of cold breath because of their conditions for recruiting a herbalist. Their conditions for recruiting a herbalist were the lowest. They were all level 4 herbalist. As far as the whole state is concerned, the herbalist at this level is an important figure, but their minimum requirements have reached this level. It can be imagined that what they should do about the recruitment specifications of the strong. At this point, Xiao Yang naturally has some doubts about Jutai's words. Since the recruitment specification of the Herbalist Alliance is so high, it seems that his level of 3-level herbalists, both strength and refining skills, have not met the requirement. In this regard, Jutai has long expected that, according to common sense, with his ability as a third-order herbalist, he has indeed not reached the recruitment qualification of the Herbalist Alliance. However, there are always exceptions. As long as he has enough talent, he will not say that it is only the branch of Dantar, that is, the headquarters of Dantar will eventually be moved by it. This is the reason why Jutai was recruited as a special case by the Herbalist Alliance, and it was precisely because Mo Zhai and Yang Bing knew this that they were so soft at that time. After leaving the Medicine Refining Association, Xiao Yang bypassed the crowded crowd and chose a more remote path. He looked up at the darkening sky. Xiao Yang's straight body finally relaxed at the moment. Xiao Yang won the championship in one fell swoop at the Medicine Refining Masters Guild. In addition to his reputation in this wild ancient city, before the Medicine Refining Masters Guild, he was surrounded by crowded people. The front hall and courtyard of the guild were blocked. Among these people, the weakest ones reached the level of quasi 1-star and half emperor. There were 30 or 40 semi-imperialist strongmen present, and this strength was enough to rival some small and medium-sized forces. These people are some family forces in the wild ancient city and surrounding cities. They can be regarded as famous forces on weekdays. Some even have to give face to the Herbalist Guild, but today they all gather here with a modest smile and a gentle smile to the ordinary elders of the Herbalist Guild. But how could those elders know that these guys all came for Xiao Yang? If Xiao Yang had not defeated Mo Zhai in the General Assembly and refined the imperial product Quandan, these people could not have rushed here in such a hurry, let alone be humble to them. But what they didn't know was that when they blocked the front door to see Xiao Yang, the latter had already left quietly from the back door. Today, they are bound to miss Xiao Yang. As for how to deal with these guys, Xiao Yang shrugged and directly left the trouble to Jiu Li and others. Jiu Li and Red Phosphorus were also helpless, but Xiao Yang had left, and they were worth it. Walking in the deserted lane, Xiao Yang slowly raised a smile at the corners of his mouth and stretched out the palm under his sleeve robe. In the palm of his hand, a simple scroll was lying quietly. This scroll is the reward set by Jiu Li at the Medicine Refining Masters meeting. It was the imperial pill that should have been refined by Wei Yi at the beginning, but now it fell into Xiao Yang's hands. With the imperial pill in Xiao Yang's hands and the one obtained from Haimu, there are as many as 5 volumes. Although this quantity is not huge, I'm afraid it is comparable to nearly 1/3 of their stock in terms of Jiu Li's Medicine Refining Association. After all, the Herbalist Guild is only a branch of Dantar. It's not easy to get the imperial pill. In addition, the obstruction of other Herbalists' Guild and their covetous heart, the imperial pill is even less. Therefore, it's not too much to think in Xiao Yang's heart. After returning to his mind, Xiao Yang put away the ancient scroll with one hand. When he moved, he quickly flew away towards the south of the city. Now the name of the rock owl is well known in the wild, and the inn is no longer safe. If Xiao Yang guesses well, there must be someone waiting for him to take the bait. Therefore, in the wild ancient city, the only place Xiao Yang can go is Luo Laro, except the 6th floor of Union Pavilion. In contrast, the energy of heaven and earth in the spirit world is more abundant. For Xiao Yang, a madman of cultivation, nature is the best place to go. When he came to the small courtyard again, Xiao Yang didn't look as careful as he was when he first came. He moved and stepped in. Entering the courtyard, a wooden door in the inner courtyard blocked Xiao Yang's way, but even so, Xiao Yang's steps did not stop at all, as if he had nothing. When Xiao Yang's body touches the door panel, a circle of mysterious energy ripples will spread from the door panel. At the same time, Xiao Yang's body will also disappear into it. Over a vast expanse of green mountains and forests, in the originally calm and wave-free void, at the moment, it suddenly diffused and opened a circle of energy ripples like water waves. In a twinkling, as the void returned to its original state again, a human six shadow dressed in black stepped out of it. His eyes slowly swept across the green world. Xiao Yang couldn't help but smile. He still clearly remembered that he promised Luo Laro before leaving and won the champion of the Medicine Refining Masters University. Now, he has really succeeded. In a moment, Xiao Yang's body appeared in the green forest. At the moment, there was an empty land in front of him. Here, Xiao Yang saw the 32 Lingwei he saw before he left last time. These people are the mainstay of the Shenling family. It's not easy to wake up from his sleep and catch up with Haimu to be solved. It was not easy for them to take a vacation by Aoki and relax for a while. Because Xiao Yang didn't pay much attention to his hurry last time. At the moment, under his exploration, the strength of these 32 spirit guards made him feel unfathomable. I'm afraid their strength reached the level of fighting Emperor at the worst. When thinking about this, Xiao Yang's heart can't help feeling a shock. There are more than 30 strong fighting emperors in front of him at the moment. If you take them out, they may be enough to sweep half of the southern region. After sighing in his heart, Xiao Yang's eyes moved slowly. There seem to be hundreds of people here. It seems that these people should be other people of Shenling family, and their strength is extraordinary. Under Xiao Yang's exploration, the weakest ones also have the level of fighting respect. This Shenling family is not strong. Xiao Yang's appearance also unconsciously attracted a lot of attention. When those people saw Xiao Yang and looked at his black robe, the crowd immediately looked at each other and whispered. In looking at Xiao Yang, they were also full of curiosity and a trace of fox doubt. Is this human boy with only half imperial strength really the one who killed Haimu? When the 32 Lingwei saw the visitor Xiao Yang, they immediately raised their eyebrows and showed a surprised look on their face. Unexpectedly, Xiao Yang had just left for 2 months, and now they came to their Shenling family again. When Xiao Yang saw the expression on these people's faces, he immediately knew that he could let them look at themselves with such strange eyes. There was nothing else except Haimu. Alas! He sighed softly. When Xiao Yang had no choice but to shake his head and wanted to bypass such a crowd, a strong young man with a handsome face came face to face with Xiao Yang. Seeing the visitor, Xiao Yang also raised his eyes and looked at the past. Then his eyes looked stunned at first, and then a slightly relaxed smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. The man's name is Qingfeng. He is also one of the 32 spirit guards, and he is also one of the 3 leaders of the 32 spirit guards. He is also an important figure in the whole Shenling family. During the last 3 days of rest, they also became friends with each other. Haha, brother Yang Xiao, I haven't seen you for 2 months. Your name is very popular among our Shenling family. As soon as their eyes touched, the young man laughed at Xiao Yang in a joking tone. The latter also shook his head with a bitter smile on his face, but shrugged and didn't say much. As a result, Xiao Yang had long expected that it would be far-fetched to kill a once strong Yuanzong with his 3-star semi-emperor's strength. Obviously, the man also knew that the purpose of Xiao Yang's visit was not to chat with them, so he stopped joking and went straight to the subject and said with a smile, "Brother Yang Xiao, you came here to find old Luo." Xiao Yang nodded and smiled at the speech. This is indeed a reason. Yes, but his ultimate goal of entering the spirit world this time is not just that. Haha, in that case, why don't you take a path for you, man? I'm from different places in the spirit clan. There are many spirit trees here, and the power of heaven and earth is also different. Although you are a herbalist, it's not so easy to find Luo Laro here. Xiao Yang smiled at Qingfeng when he heard the speech. He didn't speak, but walked slowly in a certain direction under Qingfeng's slightly confused eyes. Qingfeng's words are indeed true. The ginseng spirit world is really different from the outside world. There are countless ginseng spirit trees that exist between the heaven and earth. Mutual blessing makes the ginseng spirit world invisible and filled with an extremely powerful pressure. If ordinary semi-imperial strong people are here, I'm afraid they really have to work hard. However, Xiao Yang is a herbalist after all, and his soul power is superior to ordinary people. What's more, after refining and swallowing Haimu's soul power, with Xiao Yang's soul power now, few people can compare with the third-order herbalist. Therefore, although the spirit world is special, Xiao Yang can still do it if he only explores within 1,000 miles. Simply, Laro Luo happens to be within the scope of Xiao Yang's exploration. Moreover, under Xiao Yang's exploration, he not only found the existence of Luo Laro, but also another person, which made Xiao Yang's mouth not only evoke a funny smile. At the beginning, Qingfeng could not help but frown when he saw Xiao Yang walking around to the forest. However, after noticing the direction Xiao Yang went, his face suddenly changed, because the direction Xiao Yang went was where Luo Laro was. This guy. Staring at Xiao Yang's back slowly, Qingfeng was at a loss for a moment. It's hard to imagine how Xiao Yang could explore Luo Laro's place at will in the spirit world. Is it difficult that the cultivators in the outside world have become so strong? Although he was extremely surprised, Qingfeng's judgment was still somewhat subjective. The external cultivators were not strong enough to imagine, and even most of them were inferior to the Shenling family. All of Xiao Yang's extraordinary strength could only be attributed to his own efforts. There will be a return. Xiao Yang's strength is directly proportional to his blood and sweat. Therefore, Xiao Yang's strength is inevitable. When Qingfeng was stunned, Xiao Yang stopped, turned around, looked at Qingfeng with a gentle smile and said with a smile, "Hehe, brother Qingfeng, didn't you say you want to help me lead away? What are you doing standing there? Let's go." Xiao Yang said a word, then turned and continued to go forward. After a little hesitation, Qingfeng reluctantly shook his head and hurried to follow up. This video will end here.